I'm Sam Reckford, Chief Financial Officer of the Diocese of Newark. I just joined the bishop's staff in August, but I'm not new to the diocese, having been a member of Christ Church in Short Hills for 26 years, where I recently served as a warden, and prior to that served on the investment, finance, and stewardship committees, as well as many others. Prior to coming here, I had a long career on Wall Street, before retiring in 2011 and deciding to join the good guys. I'd like to thank my predecessor, Paul Shackford, for leaving everything in great shape for me, and for leaving records that have been a tremendous assistance in me as I do everything for the first time. While numbers are crunched by my finance staff and me, we don't operate in a vacuum. The Budget and Finance Committee is instrumental in setting the budget and reviewing monthly reports, and the reports are also reviewed and approved by the full Diocesan Council each month. Before getting into the 2018 budget, let me do a very quick review of our 2017 results. The big surprise in our results was pledge income. It came in $113,000 better than expected. About 40% of that positive variance came from one church, which substantially increased its pledge after the budget was set, and the balance was spread among many others. These positive payments effectively went straight to the bottom line, driving a surplus of $119,000. There were a handful of other items that differed substantially from budget, but they largely offset each other, since some were favorable and others unfavorable. In two areas, we spent much less than budgeted, but since each had a dedicated funding source, there was no net impact on the budget. Since we didn't spend the money, we didn't collect the corresponding income. Now moving on to 2018. We've constructed a conservative budget with a small surplus for the year. Income and expenses are budgeted to increase a little less than 2% over last year's budget. Let's look at the components of income. Pledge income, budgeted at $2,020,000, generates 2/3 of our total income. So far, pledges are tracking closely to 2017's revised figures, but we're still waiting for 16 pledges, so we need to be a little conservative here and budget about 2% less than our 2017 projected total. A number of our congregations are under some duress, so some of the remaining pledges could disappoint. And we always have to allow some room for pledges to drop during the year if NOI comes in less than expected. As you can see from this chart, pledges are basically flat since 2010. This is the 9th consecutive year of pledge income between $2 and $2.1 million. Next, the Alleluia Fund, at $110,000, represents a budget decrease of $15,000, though that amount is only $5,000 less than the 2017 actual amount. Again, we feel it's a good idea to be conservative, and particularly with a downward trend from last year. Next, we have two income items that benefit from a rising stock market. Investment income is the first. We draw a 4.25% distribution from the Diocesan Investment Trust, but there's a limited benefit in the first year. We're only up $3,500, despite last year's rally, because it is based on the average market value of the 12 quarters ending September 2017. In other words, there is no benefit whatsoever from the big rally of the last few months, and only a diluted benefit from the rest of 2017's performance. However, we also collect an investment administration fee of 1/4% on all of the funds in the DIT, and this adjusts every quarter, so there is an immediate impact. You can see from this chart that we got a $12,000 benefit during the course of 2017, and we'll get an additional $4,300 this year, if the market holds steady at current levels. Rental income is generated from two tenants at 31 Mulberry Street, the Victoria Foundation and Sadie Nash. Income will be up about $10,000 this year because we were able to satisfy Sadie Nash's desire for more space by reorganizing our usage and freeing up some space on the first floor that we could rent to them. This will also have the fringe benefit of reducing wear and tear on the second floor by concentrating their usage in their own space. Income from New Ministries Fund is dedicated to expenses related to New Ministries initiatives, such as Joining God and Shaping Our Future. At $181,000, we are reducing our draw by about $60,000 from this year's past actual and $127,000 from budget. The main reason for that is that $181,000 is all that we have in the fund, and we won't get more unless and until additional funds are allocated from the proceeds of sold churches. However, we are making up the difference by allocating $85,000 from our 2017 surplus to fund these initiatives, thereby recycling our surplus into programs that support congregational development, which we believe to be the most appropriate use of the money. On the expense side, this is a status quo budget. There were no requests for new funding, and only a few noticeable changes in funding requests versus 2017 actual levels. As always, compensation is our largest expense at 52% of the total. We are budgeting a 3% increase in salaries. Unfortunately, our benefits cost is rising faster due to the 6.5% to 8% medical insurance increases that you are all seeing also. I would like to highlight that all of the diocesan staff contribute 10% of the cost of their medical insurance, which helps to keep our costs down. This year we broke out the Hispanic Missioner, which was previously included in the Equipping Congregations compensation line. Despite appearances to the contrary, this is not really a cut since no money was spent last year and we are unlikely to spend that budgeted amount this year. Bishop Beckwith has deferred the hiring decision to the next bishop, so at best, one could not be in place until the end of the year. As with 2017, there is a dedicated income source, an allocation from closed churches, for this item, so there will be no net impact to the budget if we spend less than the budgeted amount. Youth programs are getting a large increase off of last year's low actual spend, but that just brings it back to our historical norm. We didn't have a youth coordinator for most of 2017, but Sheila Clark joined us in September and has been very active. The pledge to National Church is down $36,000, but still represents 100% of our assessment. Tech changed its assessment formula in 2015, which was immediately beneficial to us, but the 3-year trend of falling on assessments is unlikely to persist. IT spending is increasing $7,000 as we investigate a move toward cloud-based computing. We feel that a cloud setup will be more accessible and more durable than hosting files and email on a server in the building, and I encourage all of our congregations to do the same. I've witnessed a few horror stories of what can happen when there is no system redundancy, and I'd be happy to share them with you. Lastly, search and call is increasing to $30,000, which we believe to be a responsible, sustainable level. This will not fully fund the current search. We will ask the trustees to help with that. But if we can maintain this level annually, we should be fully funded for the next search, depending, of course, on how long our bishop stays with us. In summary, the 2018 budget benefits from wind in our sails due to, first, the surplus from 2017, second, the rising stock market, third, increased rental income, and fourth, the lower national church assessments. Other than the delayed income benefit from the rising market value of our investment, most of these things will not be sustainable going forward, so I'm pretty sure that future budgets will be more challenging. But at this point I have to say I'm very pleased about our 2018 budget, and I feel good about presenting it for your approval. In advance of convention, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to Noel or me. I hope that you will join me at the budget forum at convention and we can meet in person and engage in dialogue. Thank you for watching this and taking an interest in our budget.